Welcome back to my advanced programming concepts using C++. Today I'm going to show you what default arguments are in a function. Short lecture, should not take too long, should take about 5 minutes of your time. So sometimes what we want to do is we want to be able to create a function, and in that function, if somebody doesn't pass any arguments, any values for the arguments, we may want to just have a default value for the arguments. Let me show you what I mean. So in this particular case, what we're looking at here is we are looking at a function called showArea. And what I've done is I've created the prototype up top. And if you notice, I have this equals assignment here and then this equal assignment here. Looks a little weird, looks syntactically incorrect, but what we're doing here is we're passing in default arguments in my prototype, which means that if I were to call or were to run this program and I executed showArea, and showArea had no arguments in my call, because it has the default arguments, what's going to happen is 20.0 will be put into length and then 10.0 will put into width as my default. So if I do that, you'll see that the area is going to be 200. I could also override maybe only one argument. So if I did 10, I'll do 10.0. If I did 10.0, then what I'm gonna override is the argument that maps to the leftmost value here. So in this particular case, 10.0 will override this value, which means that length will now be 10. So if I run that, so 10 times 10 will give you 100. And then of course I can always override both arguments, and that's perfectly okay. So if I do this, you'll see that now 11 gets put into length and then 12 gets put into width. So this is a good way to write out or stub out a function where you perhaps are maybe not expecting input for the arguments themselves, and you want to allow your function to be flexible enough so that it just picks up a default value. This way it doesn't calculate any garbage. This is the way that I do it in terms of passing in default arguments. You may see it another way if you were going to create this. And I told you before that I'm not going to be showing examples this way, but you could also do the following. You could say double length is equal to 20.0, and you may see that in some other examples on the internet, and then this would be 10.0, and that is perfectly fine. You can do that if you define your function and do the prototype up top. Again, in this tutorial, I'm not doing it this way. I'm going to be doing all the prototyping up top, and then the definition itself would be on the bottom. And in this way, you would have the default values here, where you have the data type equals to the default value. It does look kind of weird because there is no variable that you're assigning it to, but this is just the correct syntax, so you may just have to get used to it. Great. So this should get you started, and if you ever have the need to write any function that has a default value, then you know what to do. I'll see you on the next lecture.